Welcome all. Today's topic is oscillator circuit. My name is Suresh. I am lecturer in ECE from Government Polytechnic Bellampally. I have been teaching electronic device and circuits since July 2nd through video lessons for the benefit of diploma and engineering students. Please refer my previous video lessons for better understanding of this current topic. In the last lecture, we have seen about the introduction of oscillator circuits, that we have seen the definition and classification of oscillator circuits based on certain parameters. Now we are moving on to the actual circuits, practical circuits from which we can get the waveforms, right? First one is Hartley oscillator circuit. Hartley oscillator circuit. Please see the circuit diagram. You can find it is a very similar circuit you have been understanding since the starting of this video lessons. In the upper part we have the basic amplifier circuit, but without any input, that is Vs is not there, but we have C in input capacitor R1, R2, Re for stabilization and biasing. And in case of RL load resistor, that is RC, we have RFC. It is a coil, radio frequency coil. And in the output we have coupling capacitor CC, and we have CE, that is bypass capacitor, emitter bypass capacitor. But the output of CC, that is coupling capacitor's output, is connected to a particular feedback network. It is a feedback network. In that we have L1, L2, two inductors connected, and a capacitor C. The ground connection, if you see, the ground connection is given at L1 and L2, in between the L1 and L2, so they are in parallel. Actually they are in parallel, though they seem serial connection, but because of that ground connection they are in parallel. And the output of this feedback network is connected to the input of the transistor amplifier. So if you can remember from the previous lesson, that is the block diagram, what are the essentials for a oscillator circuit? We have a tank circuit, that is an L in parallel with C, right? And we have transistor amplifier and a feedback network. Now see the circuit details. Figure shows the circuit of a Hartley oscillator where the resistors R1, R2, Re form the biasing and stabilization circuit. The capacitor C acts as emitter bypass capacitor. Capacitor Cin and Cc are called blocking capacitors or coupling capacitors. These capacitors block the direct current but pass the alternating current. That was the capacitors do. They block the DC and allows the AC. RFC, radio frequency choke. RFC, radio frequency coil, also you can call it as, provides DC load for collector and keeps AC currents out of DC supply source. The tank circuit, feedback circuit, is made up of L1, L2 and capacitor. The junction of two inductors is grounded. If C is not used, the amplified AC signal flowing through emitter resistor Re will cause a voltage drop across it, thereby reducing the output voltage. Right? We have known this point since the starting of this video lessons, that is the basic amplifier. The emitter bypass capacitor is used to bypass this Re. If it is not bypassed, the voltage drop will occur across the Re, which will reduce the output voltage, that is the drop in the voltage, so the gain will be reduced. RFC acts as short circuit for the RFC acts as short circuit for DC, hence full DC voltage is available at the collector. This acts as almost open circuit for AC because it keeps AC currents out of DC supply source. Coil acts as what? Short circuit for DC. Hence full DC voltage is available at the collector. This acts as almost open circuit for AC. Right. Consider the tank circuit. One side of L1 is connected to base via Cin and the other two emitter via Ce. So L1 is in the input circuit. Similarly, one end of L2 is connected to collector via Cc and the other end is connected to emitter via C. So L2 is in the output circuit. The coil L1 is inductively coupled to coil L2 and the combination works as auto transformer. L1 and L2 are connected inductively. These are the points to be noted. Now see the operation of the circuit. When the circuit is switched on, by closing the switch S, collector current starts rising and charges the capacitor. Students who ever listening to this video lesson, please write down this circuit on a paper, because I cannot show two slides on a single screen. By explaining side by side, you can understand it very easily. So please draw the hotly of the circuit on a paper with all those literals CC, RFC, R1 and R2. Right? Mention those letters and connections properly so that while explaining the circuit you can see the circuit and listen this operation, then you can understand it very well, the connections. I hope you all draw the circuit. Now see the operation of the circuit. When the circuit is switched on by closing the switch S, which is present at the top, that is VCC to collector current, the collector current starts rising and charges the capacitor. When the capacitor is fully charged, it discharges through the coils L1 and L2, setting up oscillations in the tank circuit. The frequency of oscillations is determined by the values L1, L2 and C and is given by the formula to determine the operation, that is F is equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC, where L is equal to L1 plus L2 plus 2M. L1 plus L2 if mutual inductance M is neglected. The output voltage of the amplifier appears across L2 and feedback voltage across L1. Sorry, my mistake. The inductors L1 and L2 are connected in series itself. Though it is grounded, the current flowing through the L1 and L2 will be same. So we can say they are in series itself. That's why the mutual inductance L will become, the total inductance will become L1 plus L2 plus 2M, 2 mutual inductance. If mutual inductance is neglected, then it will become L1 plus L2. The output voltage of amplifier appears across L2 and feedback voltage across L1. The output voltage of the amplifier appears across L2 because L2 is in the output circuit, and feedback voltage across L1 because L1 is in the input circuit. So that's why we can redraw this feedback circuit as like this. The voltage across L1 is 180 degrees out of phase with the voltage developed across L2 as shown in the figure. Because we are using CE transistor common emitter mode, so we have the output of common emitter is 180 degrees out of phase with the input. So the voltage across L1 is 180 degrees out of phase with the voltage developed across L2. And like this in the figure, feedback circuit can be represented. L1 and L2. L1 output is Vf and L2 output is V out. L2 across voltage is V out, and it is plus minus, and that is minus plus. So they are 180 degrees out of phase. So a phase shift of 180 degrees is provided between input and output by the tank circuit made up of L1, L2 and C. Why this has to be done? Because if you can remember from the previous lesson, that is the necessary conditions, Bark-Hassan criteria, in order to produce the oscillations, sustained oscillations. You need A beta is equal to 1, that is the loop gain should be 1, and the total phase angle. The total phase angle of the circuit should be 360 degrees or 0 degrees, that is both should be in phase. So as a common emitter amplifier, it produces 180 degrees out of phase the input signal. The remaining 180 degrees must be produced by this feedback circuit. So the total phase shift will become 360 degrees. In the second point, the CE amplifier produces a further phase shift of, it is 180 degrees, not 1800, between the input and output. As a result, the energy feedback to the tank circuit is in phase with the generated oscillations. So when the loop gain A beta of the amplifier is greater than the 1, oscillations are sustained in the circuit. The ideal condition is Bark-Hassan criteria, that is A beta is equal to 1, but in practical, A beta must be slightly greater than 1 in order to compensate the losses, that is I square or losses. Okay, so it should be greater than 1. So the feedback fraction beta is equal to Vf by V out. V feedback output by V output, which is an input to this feedback circuit. So Vf here we have across the L1 and V output is across L2. So the reactance, the voltage applied, so the voltage across these reactances are I into X. So XL1 by XL2 I will be cancelled, and XL1 is equal to omega L1 by omega L2, so omega cancels, so we will left with L1 by L2. So the feedback fraction beta is equal to L1 by L2. This is necessary condition for sustained oscillations. It is not correct. Expression for frequency of oscillation in Hartley oscillator. So the frequency derivation of F frequency for this Hartley oscillator is derived from the circuit itself. If we assume that tank circuit contains two inductive coils L1 and L2 and a capacitor C, then their respective reactances are X1 is equal to omega L1 and X2 is equal to omega L2. And X3 is across the capacitor, that is equal to minus 1 by omega C. For sustained oscillations, the net reactance is 0. X1 plus X2 plus X3 is equal to 0. So omega L1 plus omega L2 minus 1 by omega C is equal to 0. Omega take common from this L1 and L2. So we will be left with omega common of L1 plus L2 is equal to 1 by omega C. And if we bring omega to the left side, then omega into omega square is equal to 1 by L1 plus L2 into C. The square will be in the right side, it will become under root. So omega is equal to 1 by under root of L1 plus L2 into C. As we know, the omega is equal to 2 pi f. So the frequency f is equal to omega by 2 pi. Here omega is the radiant frequency, right? So omega will become, the f will become f is equal to omega by 2 pi is equal to 1 by 2 pi root L1 plus L2 into C. F is equal to 1 by 2 pi root L C, where L is equal to L1 plus L2 and they are inductively coupled in series. So the final value of L is equal to L1 plus L2 plus 2m. If we neglect this m, that is mutual inductance, if we consider it as 0, then L is equal to L1 plus L2. So the next topic is Colpitt's oscillator. First see the circuit diagram of Colpitt's oscillator. It looks similar to the Hartley oscillator, but there is a slight difference in the feedback circuit. The transistor amplifier circuit is same as Hartley oscillator, but in the feedback you have, instead of L1 and L2, we have here C1 and C2, and instead of single C we have two capacitors, and we have only single inductor. Remaining things are same. C in R1, R2, RE, CE, and RFC and CC, and common emitter configuration C1, C2, and L. Figure shows the circuit of Colpitt's oscillator. The tank circuit is made up of C1, C2, and L. The resistors R1, R2, RE form the biasing and stabilization circuit. The capacitor CE acts as emitter bypass capacitor. The capacitors Cin and Cc are called blocking capacitors or coupling capacitors. These capacitors block the direct current but pass the alternating current. RFC, radio frequency choke, provides DC load for collector and keeps AC currents out of DC supply source. It is same as the Hartley oscillator. Now see some noting points. The Colpitt's oscillator is similar to Hartley oscillator with minor modification. Of course, we know, instead of using tapered inductors, it uses two tapered capacitors C1 and C2. Circuit operation. When the circuit is switched on, by closing the switch S, collector current starts rising and charges the capacitor C1 and C2. When these capacitors C1 and C2 are fully charged, they discharges through the coil L, setting up oscillations in the tank circuit. The frequency of oscillation is determined by the value C1 and C2L, and it is given by F is equal to 1 by 2 pi under root L C, where L is the inductance and C is the capacitance. So both the capacitors are in series, so we have C is equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. So now we have to go to the expression for frequency of oscillations. If we assume that tank circuit contains two capacitors C1 and C2 and inductive coil L, then their respective reactances are x1 is equal to minus 1 by omega C1 and x2 is equal to minus 1 by omega C2, where C is equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. And similarly, the output voltage is across capacitor 2 C2, and input feedback voltage appears across C1, and C2 and C1 both have the voltage which are 180 degrees out of phase. The output voltage of the amplifier appears across C2 and feedback voltage is developed across C1. The voltage across C1 is 180 degrees out of phase with the voltage developed across C2 as shown in figure. So the tank circuit of C1, C2 and L provides a phase shift of 180 degrees between input and output. The common emitter amplifier CE amplifier produces a further phase shift of 180 degrees between input and output. Thus, total phase shift becomes 360 degrees. This makes the feedback positive, which is essential condition for oscillations. When the loop gain A beta of the amplifier is greater than 1, oscillations are sustained in the circuit. So feedback fraction, it is all similar to the Outlier slider. Feedback fraction beta will become beta is equal to Vf by V output, that is XC1 by XC2. We will get C2 by C1 because XC is equal to 1 by omega C1 and XC2 is equal to 1 by omega C2. If we do the math, simple modification, it will become C2 by C1. The necessary condition for sustained oscillation, that is beta, should be equal to C2 by C1, and we know X3 is equal to omega L. For sustained oscillation, the net reactance is 0. So we have X1 plus X2 plus X3 is equal to 0, that is 1 by omega C1 minus 1 by omega C2 plus omega L is equal to 0, where omega L is equal to 1 by omega, that is of 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. So omega is equal to omega, if you bring the right side omega to the left side, omega square is equal to 1 by L into, that is with LCM it will become C1 plus C2 by C1 C2. So the omega is equal to under root of 1 by L C1 plus C2 by C1 C2. Therefore frequency of oscillation is, as we know, omega is equal to 2 pi f. So replacing omega with 2 pi f, then f is equal to omega by 2 pi, which will become 1 by 2 pi under root of L C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. So f is equal to 1 by 2 pi under root LC, where C is equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. So this is the derivation of frequency formula in case of Colpitt's oscillator. Right. Now moving on to the next oscillator circuit, that is crystal oscillator. First we have to know what is the equivalent circuit of a crystal. Although the crystal has electromechanical resonance, this is the concept here, electromechanical resonance, we can represent the crystal action by the equivalent electrical circuit. So we can replace this crystal with the equivalent electrical circuit. You can see in the figure we have the supply alternating voltage, or the whatever the frequency it produces, the crystal produces is alternating voltage here. It is applied to the crystal which has, in the circuit we have still the metal plate and the crystal wafer, these are connected to the source. And in the figure B we have the equivalent circuit of this particular crystal, that is it is replaced by RLC in parallel with C, resistor, inductor and capacitor. These three are connected in series, and these three are again connected in parallel with a capacitor which is represented by Cm. Now see why we represented this circuit with the crystal, the explanation. When the crystal is not vibrating, it is equivalent to a capacitance, right? When it is not vibrating, it is equivalent to a capacitance, that is Cm. Because of the fact the two metal plates separated by a dielectric, crystal is dielectric here, the two metal plates separated by a dielectric will represent it as a capacitor, right? So when it is not vibrating, we can represent that crystal as a capacitance with value Cm. This is mass or mounting capacitance. This capacitance is known as mounting capacitance. When a crystal vibrates, so it is equivalent to a RLC series circuit. Therefore, the equivalent circuit of a vibrating crystal is RLC series circuit shunted by the mounting capacitance Cm. as shown in the figure. So when the crystal is vibrating, we represent it as a RLC series circuit, where R is the electrical equivalent of the mechanical friction. So when a crystal is vibrating, it will have these components like friction, elasticity, and crystal mass, which has to be considered. The R is the electrical equivalent of mechanical friction, C is the electrical equivalent of elasticity, and L is the electrical equivalent of crystal mass. So now moving on to the circuit of crystal oscillator. Observe the circuit. It is similar to the same Hartley and Colpitts oscillator, but only the difference is in the feedback, that is the tank circuit, where inductor is replaced by crystal. But not only the inductor, the equivalent electrical circuit of crystal should be redraw here. That is the RLC, series connected resistor, inductor, and capacitor. Each values depends on the crystal, right? So the practical transistorized crystal oscillator circuit is shown in figure. The circuit is same as Colpitts oscillator, but in which the inductor is replaced by the crystal. Please draw the circuits. All the circuits you must draw. Otherwise, you will get confused in the exam, or you won't remember any of the components, or you will forget the components, where they are connected, what is the input connection, what is the output connection, where is the feedback, which one is called the feedback circuit, which one is the amplifier circuit. By drawing these circuits only, the best way to remember. If you remember the circuit, you can explain the operation and circuit details in detail by yourself. The most important thing a student must do before going to the exam, or before going to any interview or competitive exam, just if you say the circuit name, the Hartley oscillator or Colpitts oscillator, crystal oscillator, the first thing that must come into your mind is the circuit itself. If the circuit won't come, then you'll get confused. You won't remember the other things. But if you remember the circuit, you can recollect everything related to it. The formulas, the derivations, theory part, right? Explanation, everything. Okay, so you must draw these circuits. Please draw the circuit on a paper so that while explaining it, you can easily understand. Now moving on to the explanation. The practical transistorized crystal oscillator circuit is shown, and the circuit is same as Colpitts, but in which the inductor is replaced by the crystal. The crystal will act as a inductor and a resonance with C1 and C2. The oscillating frequency lies in between series and parallel resonant frequency. Oscillating frequency lies in between series and parallel resonant frequency, because we have here C1 and C2, which is connected in parallel with an inductor like crystal, so that will produce a parallel resonance, and the equivalent crystal circuit is a RLC series circuit, which have a series resonance. But the final frequency, oscillating frequency, that is lies in between these two values, series and parallel resonant frequency. The positive feedback is provided by the capacitor voltage divider network, that is C1 and C2. The resistances R1 R2 RE provides DC bias, while the capacitor C is emitter bypass capacitor. RFC provides isolation between AC and DC operation. CN and CC are coupling capacitors. Now see the working. A phase shift of 180 degrees is produced by the transistor. A further phase shift of 180 degrees is produced by the capacitor voltage divider network. Right? As we know, it is a common emitter configuration So a phase shift of 180 degrees is produced by the transistor. A further phase shift of 180 degrees is produced by the capacitor voltage divider network. We have to design such circuit because C1, C2, the C1 is connected in the input circuit, that is the output of across the output voltage across C1 is nothing but the VF, and C2 is connected into the output circuit where the voltage across C2 is the VO, and both the voltages are in 180 degrees out of phase. The circuit will oscillate at a frequency which lies between Fs, that is series frequency, and Ft, that is parallel frequency, parallel resonant frequency, series resonant frequency, but uh, close to the parallel resonant frequency. Though we call it as in between this, but it will be nearer to the Fp, parallel resonant frequency. It can be noted that the oscillator frequency is essentially determined by the crystal and not by the rest of the circuit. Advantages of crystal oscillators over other types. The tuned circuit oscillators are good for generating high frequency oscillators. The LC oscillators have two general drawbacks, that is, firstly they suffer from frequency instability and poor waveform. LC circuits, generally LC tuned circuits, are suffer from these drawbacks, that is frequency instability and poor waveform. Secondly, they cannot be used for very low frequencies because they become too much bulky and expensive. And RC, good RC has good frequency stability and waveform can be obtained from RC or phase shift oscillators. RC oscillators are more suitable for generating low frequency. The disadvantage of RC oscillators is that they cannot generate very high frequencies. RC is for up to audio frequencies, right? If you can remember, the LC are used for high frequencies, that is greater than 20 kHz, that is RF range. Reasons for instability in oscillator and the remedies to avoid this instability. The stability of an oscillator to maintain nearly a fixed frequency over a long interval of time is called the frequency stability of oscillators. When we call a oscillator is perfect, or we can use it for experiments in lab, that is, it should maintain a nearly fixed frequency over a long interval of time, then we can call it as a stability of oscillators. Reasons for the instability is inherent variation of transistor parameters. While operating continuously for some time because of the heat generated or because of some atmospheric moisture or some capacitive effects, C inputs of across the terminals of this transistor, right? These all things may come into effect. They can change these parameters, which will result in changing the frequency of the output wave. Variations in supply voltage, as we can see, the supply may not be constant. So in the input stage, we have to use a RPS, regulated power supply. The temperature variation, the temperature can vary, right? Variation in output load, the output load whatever we connected to this circuit may have different input impedances, right? They can vary. Inter-element capacitance and stray capacitance, as already I have stated it. Mechanical vibrations, that is where we have put that circuit in an electronic device or on an experiment table, right? On anything we can conduct this experiment, but the mechanical vibration of that particular circuit will change this connection, loose connections will happen, right? So these are the practical problems: overheating of components and devices, okay, imperfect tapping of the coils. These all can be result in the instability. Avoidance: or remedies how to avoid these instability. So supply voltage variations can be overcome by using a RPS. A regulated power supply will supply the regulated output. That is, the output is constant though the input voltage changes or the load changes. Frequency stability can be increased by using temperature compensation techniques. Though the temperature increase, because as long we operate the circuit is operated, the heat, continuous operation of circuit will generate the heat should be compensated. Temperature compensation techniques should be used. Loading effects can be minimized by using buffer stages with oscillators. These buffer stages will function as impedance matching devices, because whatever the load we connected will be matched to the circuit. The circuit will be provided stability and shock proof from this buffer stages. They can be guarded. The effect of changes in inter-element capacitors can be neutralized by adding a swamping capacitor across the offending elements. So this is the swamping capacitor. Extra swamping capacitor must be connected across whatever the device or component where we experience this inter-element capacitances. We can use this swamping capacitor to avoid that effect. The frequency stability of oscillator can be increased by using a tank circuit of high quality factor. Tank circuit must be used. The coils must be tapped properly. The oscillator circuit must be isolated from the source of mechanical vibrations. Temperature control chambers are used to minimize temperature effects. So the frequency instability in oscillators, operating point of the active devices. These points has to be compensated. First thing is the operating point. Q point of the active device, that is transistor, is so chosen as to confine the circuit operation in the non-linear portion of its characteristics. Operation on non-linear portion varies the parameters of the transistor, which in turn affects the frequency stability of the oscillator. So this Q point choosing is very important, because if you choose it in the non-linear portion, then the characteristics will change, which results in the frequency instability. Supply voltage, any changes in the DC operating voltage applied to the active device shifts the oscillator frequency. Temperature variation in temperature causes changes in transistor parameters and also change the value of resistors, capacitors and inductors used in the circuit. Since such changes take place slowly, they cause a slow change called drift in the oscillator output frequency. Slow change in the frequencies. Variation in load. A change in transistor load will bring a change in the supply voltage available and hence a shift in the frequency of oscillators. Inter-element capacitance. Any changes in inter-element capacitance of a transistor, particularly the collector to emitter capacitance, causes the oscillator output frequency, thus affecting its frequency stability. Mechanical vibrations change the values of circuit elements. They result in changes in oscillator frequency. So these are the causes, what will happen because of these, and we have seen the remedies, what we have to do in order to avoid these effects, and stability of the oscillator must be increased and maintained. Now the last topic in the today's lesson, that is comparison of this LC and RC oscillators. Here we have a table with certain parameters and the LC and RC oscillators. Now first parameter is output frequency. RC oscillators is used for low frequency, so we know they are used for low, and LC oscillators are used for RF frequency, so we have it is high oscillations, output frequency. Frequency stability. The stability for RC oscillator is very good because the frequency response is good and the stability of resistor component compared to the inductor component is also good. So in case of LC oscillator it is poor compared to this RC oscillators. Waveform shape. Though it is RC oscillator produce output frequency in the low frequency, it will produce a very good waveform. And the resistance will not change for a high frequency though it is generating. So there will not be some inter element capacitances in case of resistor. So it will produce a very good waveform. In case of LC, it is poor compared to the RC oscillations. Output voltage, because of high frequency we can expect it is of more voltage. In case of RC it is lesser. Tank circuit is made up of, from the name itself we can say the tank circuit is made up of inductors and capacitors in case of LC and resistors and capacitors in case of RC. The cost of main is also high in case of LC and it is low in case of RC. Applications: radio receivers and audio frequency oscillators. So with this we complete today's session. Now just a quick revision of this today's topics. First we have seen the Hartley oscillator circuit and we must have drawn this circuit, and the tank circuit is made up of L1, L2 and C. So we have seen the circuit details same as the basic amplifier with a feedback circuit without any input and there is only DC source. Now the circuit operation, that is L1, L2, LC will act as a tank circuit and feedback circuit. The frequency of operation F is equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC, where L is equal to L1 plus L2 plus 2M, where if we neglect the M then it will become L is equal to L1 plus L2, and L across L1 we have the feedback voltage and across L2 we have the output voltage. They are in 180 degrees out of phase. Remaining 180 degrees is produced by the transistor amplifier. We will have the 360 degrees complete phase shift, which is a required condition for to produce a sustained oscillation, right? And the beta gain must be greater than 1, that is A beta must be greater than 1, but the beta fraction is equal to Vf by V output, which will result in XL1 by XL2, which will get L1 by L2 finally. This is the necessary condition. And the frequency of operation, that is F formula, can be derived from the tank circuit. This x1 is equal to omega L1, x2 is equal to omega L2 and x is equal to 1 by omega C, where the for sustained oscillation the net reactance is 0. x1 plus x2 plus x3 is equal to 0. So finally we got F is equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC. And we have gone to the next topic, that is Colpitts oscillator. It is similar to the Hartley oscillator but with a slight change, that is L1 and L2 are replaced by C1 and C2 and the C is replaced by the L. Same operation, and we got F is equal to 1 by 2 pi under root LC, where beta is equal to C2 by C1 because x is equal to 1 by omega C here, and C is equal to C2 by C1 plus C2 because of the series connection of capacitors. Now the C in the crystal oscillator. First, what is the crystal? It is an electromechanical resonance. It works on electromechanical resonance. So the equivalent electrical circuit can be represented by RLC series circuit while it is vibrating, and while it is vibrating it is represented by CM, which is connected in parallel with this electrical circuit. And we have see why CM is used and RLC is used, and what is the equivalent of this LCR in practical crystal parameters, that is the mass and elasticity and mechanical friction. Now we have seen the oscillator circuit, that is crystal oscillator circuit, same as basic amplifier with this crystal is connected in replaced with L is replaced with crystal, same as Colpitts. And we have seen the working. Now see the advantages. Because of the stability, when it is producing high frequencies the crystal oscillator is highly stable compared to other oscillators. And see the definitions of RC and LC. We have seen the instability. What are the causes for this instability in the frequency of output frequency of the waveform which is produced, the causes, and we have seen the remedies. We have generally 8 causes. These are the practical problems, and what are the remedies has to be applied while these problems are occurring. And finally we have seen the comparison of LC oscillators and RC oscillators. So with this we conclude today's session. Please, if you have any doubts, please mail me at sureshakul2001@gmail.com. And for further reading, please refer to the standard books and practice the questions for your exams. And most importantly, practice the circuit diagrams. You have to practice at least 5 times. You have to draw. Every time you have to draw the circuit. Then you can remember everything. Now I am closing this today's session. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.